What is up, everybody? What's going on? It's your boy Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to our Sixers versus Suns post-game show. The Sixers got the L tonight. What was the score? 120 to 111. They move on to 7-7 on the road, 18-9 on the season. Before we get started, though, make sure you like, make sure you comment, turn on notifications, follow us on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter at The Painted Lines. Joining me today is my man Jason. You know him on Twitter at JBlevinsNBA. He's our Sixers beat writer here for The Painted Lines. What's going on, my man?
Oh, I mean, we can complain about a lot of things, but I still see it's not nighttime and the game is over, so I can't be too upset.
Exactly. For old heads, like with kids and all that kind of stuff, like this is heaven. This is like being able to like finish a post-game show and actually have somewhat of a night to enjoy. So not the usual for us people who do the watch parties, but here we are. The Sixers, it was a very un-Sixery-esque game today. You look at the way the second half proceeded against the Suns. They got outscored by the Suns 67 to 50 or to 40. Yeah, 58, 67 to 58 there in the second half. The Sixers are the number one second half differential team in the NBA, the number one fourth quarter differential team in the NBA. We talked on and on about during the pregame show about how defensively, in terms of defensive efficiency, the Sixers are the best team in the NBA. It really didn't happen because in the guts of this game, it really was the Chris Paul show. That guy was just absolutely everywhere on the court. No matter what Joel Embiid did, no matter what Ben Simmons did or Tobias did, really Chris Paul dominated, whether it was getting buckets, setting others up in good spots. What an impressive game by Chris Paul. Any takeaways from this game, Jason?
Yeah, point guards matter. I mean, he just controlled the end of the game. He controlled every time the Sixers looked like they were going to make that push. He was able to find really easy buckets for his teammates, and that's what a point guard does. And he was just super impressive. I mean, you know, we're in the middle of the regular season. We shouldn't live and die with every loss. We should appreciate good basketball. And Chris Paul and Devin Booker played really good basketball. So just appreciate that.
Yep.
You know, it is nothing to get too worked up about. Nope. Sixers are not a finished product. But you know, they didn't have Shake Milton, so they had one less weapon to throw at that backcourt. But Chris Paul was just a fantastic player tonight.
8, 10, 15, 17, 20 points from the Sixers bench there, including 3 points from Isaiah Joe. So really 17 points from – no, I'll take 5 off of that because Tony Bradley had a bucket. Let's go to a press conference, during this post-game. Here we go. Who's speaking?
I don't see Doc yet. He hasn't sat down yet, so we're not quite ready for him.
Okay.
We'll have him very soon, though. Here he comes.
All right, Robbie. Thank you, guys. Coach, first question is Derek Bodner. Bodner, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. So with the way the bench has been struggling, do you feel any inclination to adjust your rotations at all, to maybe give them a little more ball handling, or are you going to let them play through it?
I did. Joel started the fourth quarter with the bench, so it's not a matter of ball handling. Again, listen, we got to score more, but the team just shot 61% against us. So honestly, offense is the last thing I'm thinking about right now. Our average team shouldn't shoot 61%. This is a good team. They shouldn't be close. I mean, we got to be better defensively first, and then we'll fix the ball movement.
Next is Kai Carlin.
Hey, Coach. I guess just to kind of really talk about the defense, what do you think just really went wrong? Was it just, you think maybe it was a scheme? You think?
No, listen, give them credit. I thought they ran good stuff. Chris Paul, is terrific. But I just thought their dribble penetration, especially in the first half, they went downhill on everything, just over and over again, collapsing our defense, and that created all the ball movement and all the stuff that they got. But we just didn't have the ability to stay square for the most part. Booker makes tough shots, and you'll always live with those. I thought overall Ben did a pretty good job, especially in the first half on him. The times Booker scored for the most part was when Ben was off of him and someone switches. But the dribble penetration, it's funny. The first quarter, the first 8 minutes, I thought defensively we were pretty good. And then right when we went to the bench is when our defense struggled. That's why I'm not really focused on the offensive end right now. I'm focused more on the defensive end.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll go to Kyle and then Mark. Kyle, you go ahead.
So, Doc, you brought up Ben in the first half on Devin Booker. I guess what was the difference aside from the tough shot making between the first half and the second half? Because it did feel like he got going a little bit.
Yeah.
Those switches at the end.
I thought the switches and the downhill drives where Ben was in health, like if you don't control the ball and you have any type of defense that's a good health defense, you're going to give the other guys room. And I thought Chris Paul did a great job of getting in the paint. Payne got in the paint, and that created the trigger effect of switching or rotation. So give them credit. I thought they went to that and found that, and they took advantage of it. And then once Booker gets going, just like any great player, it's going to be a tough night.
Yeah, and when you have two guys like Booker and Chris Paul, both of whom can, kill you from mid-range, how does that stress Joel? There are a couple plays where lobs are just going over his head, and he's going to pick between two bad options, basically.
Yeah, well, the first option is stopping the dribble, but the first option is getting into the ball. To me, we didn't do that. We don't mind mid-range shots. Like, mid-range shots won't kill you overall if that's all they're taking. What we didn't like is the mid-range shots led to threes and dunks. Again, a contested two is not a bad shot in our league. Uncontested dunk and uncontested threes are very difficult shots, and I thought we gave up too many of those tonight.
Thanks, Doc.
I'm going to take these three more. Mark Narducci, then David Melandra. Mark, go ahead.
Doc, I know you're concentrating on the defensive end, but the offense also seems to struggle in the half-court offense if Joel can't bail you out. Are there any concerns about that? Not just today, but recently?
Pretty good offense bias, too. Mark, we shot 52% tonight. Wasn't a lot of transition baskets. So there are times down the stretch, we turned the ball over, didn't make good plays. But I'm not concerned about our half-court offense with our starters. Let me put it that way. I'm concerned when we sub out right now with any offense. But again, tonight was more of a defensive night.
Thank you. It's going to be David Melandra, and then the last one is Keith. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how would you assess the way how Ben Simmons looked in the first half, the way how aggressive he was? And secondly, how would you assess how your team has handled everything so far, dealing with all the different protocols and just overall with how everything's going with the league so far?
Yeah, I guess I'll answer the first. I thought Ben was terrific, overall in the game. I thought he was aggressive when he needed to be. He was a passer when he needed to be. I wasn't happy with us as a team tonight as far as execution out of timeout, something we've been very good at. As far as the protocols, they are what they are. Afternoon games are really difficult. You have to make a choice from a coaching perspective. Do you walk through stuff or do you give your guys an extra hour of sleep? And, because we chose sleep today because we got in at 4 a.m. the night before. But they still, they have to get up at 7 or whatever I think today testing between 7 and 8:15 just so the test can make it to the arena if it's a 1 o'clock game. That's not normal for any team, but I'm assuming Phoenix had to do the same thing. So, those things we all are dealing with, the entire league. I think the players overall, they're handling it. There's been so many changes. One day I don't have to wear a mask. The next day I have to keep my mask and I can pull it down. The next day you can pull it down to a 1/4 inch. I mean, I don't know what the hell the rules are, but all the mask rules keep changing like every 2 weeks. And I think for the players, that has been very difficult, and for the coaches as well.
The last one's going to be Keith Pompey.
Yeah, Doc, you kind of touched on it a little bit when you talk about offensively, with the second unit. It just seems like tonight y'all lost a lot when you didn't have your starters in there. There was a point in the first half where you had all 5 of your backups in, and it seemed like you guys lost a lot of momentum at that point of the game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say, but that's a fact. And even when we changed the rotation, it's still, bottom line is we got to do better. The bench hasn't been bad this year, but they've been bad lately. Probably going back about 5 games, in my opinion. So it's a long season, Keith. I don't ever overreact to a couple of games, but you still have to be better offensively, and that will help your defense a little bit. But if you're going to be bad offensively, you got to be great defensively. And right now, that group has been bad on both, and so that's something we have to address.
And I guess it's like you said, it's a long season. I mean, it's not the playoffs where you reduce your rotation and you play a lot of guys. So it's just one of those things do you just have to weather the storm, so to speak?
Yeah, I'm not. Trust me, I'm not over going in and panicking and go watch. I don't think anybody on our staff is, but you still want them to play better. And what you want them to do is see the importance of single possessions, because that's playoff basketball, and that helps me know who should play in the playoffs as well. So, that's why I don't overdo when you this point in the season you have 4 and 5 guys in off your bench. It's just to get through the season. You never do that in a playoff game. That's why I don't really give it that much thought. But I don't want to lose leads with whatever we have on the floor, and that's what we're doing right now.
Thanks, Doc.
Thanks, Doc.
Appreciate it.
All right, there we go.
All right, I think the biggest key after that is the Sixers bench, right, Jason? Like, the Sixers bench truly struggled in this game. They got outscored by the Suns 49-15. I'm taking out Tony Bradley and Isaiah Joe's last garbage points there with like a minute remaining. But the Sixers' lack of bench offensive production really was the main takeaway from Doc Rivers there. If you look at the NBA team stats, the Sixers are 23rd when it comes to bench scoring. And you take out Shake Milton, they're clearly one of the among the worst in the NBA. They shoot 44% average from the bench, which is in the middle of the pack. But, dude, is that not the bit other than Chris Paul dominating, Devin Booker having a couple dagger threes over Ben Simmons, the Sixers' lack of production from the bench is a major concern, right?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is. And if you go through plus minus, and I know how it can be misleading, but I don't think it is tonight. Furk minus 13, Matisse minus 15, Dwight Howard minus 12. You're minus 12 in the minutes that Joel Embiid is not on the floor. It's tough to come back from. I think they just, in a perfect world, Seth Curry is your 6th man. But he's your starter on this team. And, in a perfect world, Danny Green is on your bench, and he's a starter on this team. And it really becomes apparent when Shake is out, just how little you're able to continue to keep pace with another team. And
That's it.
Yeah, Doc said, defense can help you. Making shots can help. But, Phoenix shooting 60% from the field is a problem.
You look at how different the starting lineup is compared to the Sixers bench. The Sixers are shooting 32. The Sixers bench is shooting 32% from 3 on the season. Efficiency-wise, they're among the bottom. They're a bottom 5 team in the league. So their bench production this year is absolutely brutal. And when you take Shake Milton off of that, it's a major issue. That has got to be the target for the Sixers come trade deadline, bringing in a few pieces here to be able to add some offensive production, right?
Yeah, they need a stretch big They need like a stretch four on this team, and they probably need another just catch and shoot dagger type player. So, their ideal transactions would be like Redick and Bielitsa. That would solve a lot of problems for them, I think.
All right. So who's up next? Do we know who's up next for press conference?
They haven't said.
Okay.
We're probably going to get Tobias, Ben Simmons, Embiid. Embiid had 35, I think. So he'll probably be up. He tends to be late, especially after losses. He showers and gets his thoughts together before he comes out. So my guess is it's probably those three.
Yeah, Ben Simmons had kind of an interesting stat box score here: 18 points, 6 and 4, 2 turnovers, 6 of 9 from the floor. But he had a couple of impressive drives to the basket, finishing through contact today. But what was your take on Ben Simmons? Because it seemed like the majority of his damage was in that first half, and after that, he just kind of wasn't that impactful.
I think that's true. Yeah, he didn't grab the reins and take the game over. I think that's fair, for sure. I'm seeing a lot of comments about it being on the West Coast and road trips, and don't make excuses like that. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help them to feel that way. It doesn't. There's no excuses. I mean, it
was a 5-point game, right? It was a 5-point game with what?
Yeah, it's a 3 p.m. Eastern start. It's not like it's a 10 a.m. game. I feel for, a West Coast team that plays a Sunday afternoon matinee on the East Coast. I don't think there's any excuse around time and sleep or any of that the stuff Doc's doing to give them a little bit of a break from the strain of losing 2 in a row. I don't buy that.
It was a 5-point game with 5 minutes and 38 seconds remaining after Joel Embiid hits a mid-range shot. So we're talking about one of the best teams in clutch situations, and it really was the Chris Paul show. It was Chris Paul pretty much attributing to every single bucket the team had for the last 9 minutes straight, and it was just him and putting on a pick and roll clinic, and that was the end of it. That was really, it just boils down to that.
Yep. And they're not an especially super fast team, and his age, and if he plays slow, and they're big, but he just operated. He was a surgeon tonight.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about how Ben Simmons has improved his play over the last 4 games, but you look at Chris Paul, 21 plus points a game, 4 boards, 6 assists over the last 5 games. He 43% shooting. But this was one of those stat lines where you would think on the box score, Devin Booker would be player of the game with 36 points. Chris Paul was really the engine of this game, and I think was the main difference maker. So player of the game, Chris Paul, easily.
Yep. He's turned them into a really good team. A great pickup for them. Seemed like a weird place for him to land, but it's been a great addition for them.
I'm watching Joel Embiid highlights over Dario Saric. We did get a butt slap tonight.
I saw one butt slap.
We did get one butt slap tonight with Joel Embiid and Dario Saric. So
if you took the over, you get a free subscription. Just let us know whether you want it to be a YouTube or the website or our Twitch.
First one to join us at the primary location here, Ben Simmons.
You hear that? Ben will be up. Philly boys, I don't know when we're getting the second half schedule. As soon as I have it, I will share it. So I I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but I'll certainly share it as soon as I have it.
So what else? Blue Coats play tomorrow at 3:00. We'll definitely be doing a post-game show of that. That'll be really, really fun.
Doing Dungeons and Dragons tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Let's go.
Going early tomorrow.
What time are you going?
3 p.m.
Okay.
Yep.
We should be fine. It doesn't matter because we can do YouTube. It doesn't matter. But me and Justin will show. Justin's not joining us today because he is moving back to his dorm room today.
Wow. Okay.
Big move.
Big move is the RA, so it's a big move.
So, well, hopefully his internet connection does not suffer. We'll see. But anyway, big things coming. We've got TPL Gaming coming in the near future. We've got Justin has a brand new podcast coming on general sports. Him and a buddy will be going back and forth on general NBA, general NFL, mainly different trendy topics. And like just doing the TPL thing like that. Ben Butler says, smash that like button. Yes, yes, yes. Please hit the like button. Please be sure to subscribe. Turn on notifications. We do these watch parties and post-game shows all the freaking time. And please follow us on Twitch. The Painted Lines is now on Twitch. Please follow us. We're trying to grow in the Twitchverse. So that's going to be a ton of fun and a lot of big things coming. But just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for commenting with us during our watch party. Please be sure to like. The more you guys hit that like button, the more we can continue to give you this exclusive access to the Sixers. We're giving you access to press conferences literally probably at least 15, 20 minutes before you're going to see it on NBC Sports Philly. So
it was an hour earlier today. We were an hour early. So
yeah.
Look, when we get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, it's going to open up a whole thing for us. So tell your friends, alive or dead, tell them all. Because it's just going to open up a lot of things for us to be able to do really cool stuff for you. Get us to 10,000. We're on pace to be at 10,000 by the end of this calendar year, but let's make that faster. Let's be ready for training camp next season. So we're going to bring you all kinds of stuff. I'll be down for Philly's spring training in a couple of weeks. So we'll be bringing you that kind of stuff. And we just want to bring you as much content as we can. Tell your friends. If you're not, if you're not checking us out, you should be. And if they're not checking us out, they should be.
Yep. So who knows when the Flyers come back, but the Phillies are like, a few days away from pitchers and catchers reporting. So we're getting to the nitty gritty here with the Philadelphia Phillies coming up.
Yep.
Lots of fun stuff happening.
Yep. I think I'll be on site for spring training on the 28th in Clearwater.
Can you be our fourth or fifth starter on the Phillies? Like, what's the update on that one, man?
No, my whip would be really bad.
A lot of similar question marks surrounding the Eagles and the Philadelphia Phillies. There's a lot of similarities that are not positives. They're absolutely not positives. A lot of inept from the organization down to the players. There's a major trickle-down effect, but it starts at the top for both organizations. So that'll be fun. But at least the Sixers are 18-9. They're 500 on the road. Again, it took them 32 games to win their 7th game on the road last year. It took them 25 games this year. I know they're not a finished product, but let's enjoy for what it is. Joel Embiid is on path for an MVP season. Ben Simmons is on path for what? When was the last time a guard won defensive MVP? Like Gary Payton. Like it's been a long.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be Gary Payton. I don't know when that last guard was.
there are things happening with the Sixers that are very exciting. When the starters are playing, they're terrific, but clearly they have major bench issues, which is explainable because Shake Milton's not playing. He's got an ankle injury. Hopefully he comes back soon. The Sixers will make moves. The pieces, though, are in play when it comes to winning in the playoffs. It's just a matter of surrounding that starting lineup with the best pieces you can afford, essentially. So there we go. That's where we're waiting for. We're waiting for Ben Simmons to step up to the post-game press conference. Ben had a really strong game in that first half, I thought. Like, he was really on path to have one of his better games. You look at his last 4 games, he's been really strong. Ben has been balling, but really kind of was taken out of that second half. A lot of the starters were, a lot of the bench was. It was just not a typical Sixers game where you see the Sixers dominate in that second half. So that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for Ben Simmons to step up. Are you going to ask a question, Jason?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of like what I'm curious about, and I don't know that I have anything I need to ask Ben.
Okay.
Time with questions, like there's a strategy to it. Timing is everything. I don't like to use questions after losses unless it's really something I think we'll get an insightful answer. I think generally these guys want to forget losses.
Yeah.
Unless they have like a message they want to send, right?
Yep.
And I don't want to be in the middle of like a controversy. So generally I don't.
I think back to when we're during a Blue Coats game and asking like Connor or one of the players a question after a loss. Like it doesn't matter if you're in the G League or the NBA. Like it sucks. It sucks for everybody.
It sucks for everybody. Exactly right. It asking a coach a question after a loss sucks. It just does. Like,
everyone knows the answer. Truly, at this point of the season, like there's no like eye-opening answers that are going to be presented here.
Yep.
I think Doc Rivers pretty much like pertained to that. He was like, you can't deny the bench was terrible. It was facts are facts. But anyway, we're waiting for Ben Simmons to step up to the podium.
And this is one of the, just for those of you who are hanging out, we appreciate it. But this is one of the tactics that we go through a lot on the beat is guys know that they can wait out a bunch of the reporters. This is one of the filters they'll use by just taking extra long in the shower. Sometimes guys want to get out of town and they want to get home, so they'll come early. And sometimes they just want to wait you out. And I've been in the arena where Joel Embiid will wait, in the shower so long. There's only 2 or 3 people left in the press conference room. This is I would Nasty. I've been yelled at by Bill Laimbeer after a WNBA game, and it's maybe one of the highlights of my reporting career was asking him a question that made Bill Laimbeer go on a rant. I would love to ask Bill Belichick a question that would get just shut down. I would love to have that experience. It's like, it doesn't bother me to get yelled at all. Like, I love it.
It was really cool to see, or to be with Justin when he asked his first question during the Blue Coats post-game press conference. That was just a cool moment. Like, it was cool to be on that other end, because I remember mine, and it was like traumatic. And I'm not trying to like make.
Was yours at the day game at Wells Fargo, or were you at the Fieldhouse?
It was actually not at either. It was at the University of Delaware.
Oh,
that dungeon of a stadium.
Yeah, the
where
back,
it's like
back
there's
hallway.
no lighting whatsoever.
Mhm. What did you ask? What was your first question?
So, do you know that story?
Uh-uh.
So it was my first game, and I was by myself,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, I had no expectations. I think I like talked to you extensively throughout the week of like what to expect, where to sit, what to dress like, all that shit. So
I wish I could have been there because I liked sort of shepherding someone through that. But yeah,
it was awesome. No, it was awesome. You gotta step up with these things, and that's what I told Justin. Is like, it's your time. You gotta do it, man.
there's
Like,
only so much prep you can have.
yeah, like
At a
you
certain point,
do it. It's just a confidence thing.
it's our game time.
So I walk into the University of Delaware, and they play in like a high school-esque type of stadium. And I'm waiting. The game's over. I'm waiting to for some kind of like guidance to like go to the post-game press conference, because I'm thinking there's going to be like a table. There's going to be some kind of like other beat writers there, like waiting to ask questions, all that kind of stuff. It's literally me and Matt Murphy. And I'm just
in
like
the hallway outside of the locker room.
Just sitting there like an idiot, like waiting for something to happen. And then I'm the only one. And Matt looks at me as like, we've got a beat writer here. I'm like, beat writer. So he literally walks me down the hallway of this like dimly lit dungeon-esque hallway, and we go up, and it's literally just me and Connor Johnson for like 5 minutes.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting there, like not sitting there. I just had to like think of questions to ask, like on the whim, like just think of things to ask.
Yep.
And it was just something I'll never forget. It was crazy. It was awesome. It was terrifying. It was nauseating. But you know what I do remember though? You know, like my main memory of that was like literally leaving University of Delaware and like calling my wife and being like, I did it.
Yep. Yep. Good experience, bad experience.
Doesn't matter. You did it.
First of all, I love how you're painting a 5,500 seat arena as a high school dungeon. I love that.
There's no one there, man.
We have on our channel, we have video of me with Connor at the Maine Red Claws, and they have the Maine Red Claws play in Portland, Maine, in like an 1,800 seat gym that is, I think, 110 years old. It's the Portland Civic Center, I think it's called. And the locker rooms are in the basement of that place. And there are two ways to get to that basement. There is a stairwell and there is a freight elevator. And I didn't know how to get down there. So I am asking one of the guys, like, how do I get to the locker room? Here's Ben. I'll pick this up in a minute.
All right, Robbie. Great, thank you guys. Ben, first question is Kai Carlin with Sixers Wire. Go ahead, Kai.
Hey, what's going on, Ben? Doc really just kind of went in on the defensive effort tonight. He really wasn't happy with it. What do you think kind of went wrong on that end today?
Yeah, I think overall we didn't get back in transition. That's where it started. I mean, they shot 61% in the field, which is too high. We had our run. We got the lead, then we let it go. We didn't execute on offense late game, and there was a few calls that didn't go our way. We can't rely on the calls.
And then specifically Devin Booker. I mean, was there any other way to like really kind of contain him, or did he just kind of make some tough shots? Like, what happened there?
There were moments. I mean, the coverage I feel like overall was good at the start of the game. We had a few blitzes going on. It was leading to turnover and transition. We didn't have any pace towards the second half. We didn't get too many deflections, didn't get too many stops. It's hard to get that pace. When guys are hitting shots, you got to take the ball out, so we can't just get the rebound and get out, which is always part of it.
Thanks, Ben.
Go to Tom West next. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Ben. It feels like you've been developing some good chemistry with Danny recently, just with how you've been setting him up on cuts and finding him for threes. What stood out to you this season about how well he moves off the ball?
He moves pretty well when he's not running off the floor. Sometimes he's not even on the court. And when I throw it to him, it's a turnover. But overall, Danny's been great. He's been a great leader on this team. I'm still learning to play with him. Where he wants his shots. He's been great cutting, especially when I'm not down the post and posting up. He's getting those sneaky backdoor cuts, which has been great.
That's right. Let's go to Jeff Skaversky next.
Hey, what's up, Ben? You guys with your starting five have been perfect, 14-0 until the last two games, Portland and then today. What do you think for you has been the biggest difference in your mind with the team these last two games?
Personally?
Personally and maybe as a team as well.
Personally, I try to come out and stay locked in. I try to get that effort offensively and defensively. As a group, I think we just got to find that rhythm. We got to know teams are going to come out and want to punch us in the face. We got to expect that every night. I don't think there's any team out there that's going to take us lightly, especially for the top teams in the East. Everybody wants to play the top team, so that's us right now. And we got to go out there and be ready for teams when they give us their best shot.
And can I follow up? And can this little bump in the road? I know it's just a few games here, but can this bump in the road with your starting five, when this kind of happens, and you're getting the other team's best? How much this can essentially prepare you guys for the playoffs and making a deep run?
Yeah, we want to play these teams. We want to play the best teams. We want that competition. We want that competitive spirit when we go out there, especially when we play teams like that. Also, so we want to have those tests and be able to. See where we're at, when we play teams like that.
Thank you.
I'm going to take two more guys, Mark Narducci and Lauren Rosen. Mark, go ahead.
Ben, you talked about your transition defense, but you didn't get any fast break points in the fourth quarter. How tough is it when you're always having to play in the half court, especially today in the fourth quarter?
It's tough. When guys are running stats and showing you different looks every time down the floor, that's tough. That's why it's on us to, be vocal. We got to be communicating out there and talking to each other. Because at the end of the day, we still got to guard, whether it's half court or transition. It's two sides of the ball.
Make it Lauren Rosen and then Keith Pompey will be last. Lauren, go ahead, and then Keith.
Hey, Ben, sorry to ask you to look ahead, but when you said that you feel like opponents are always going to bring their best and be excited to play you guys, how do you feel about now going to play Utah, who's the best in the West? Is that a game that you get excited about? And how do you feel about facing guys like Donovan Mitchell-Rudy Gobert?
Can't wait. I can't wait to see it.
And then we'll go to Keith last.
And you said playing teams like this is a test. So how would you evaluate some of the things that you guys need to work on after taking these last couple tests?
Which thing?
What do you what are you this is a test. You lost 2 games. What are you learning about your team right now, that the things that y'all need to work on?
I can give you something quick. I guess they shot 61%, which is very high. We don't need that. So we got to watch film, go back and see where we can fix things. We know we're not going to stop the team every possession down the floor. The team's going to score. But we gotta make it tough on teams and see where we can do that. And then offensively with that pace, we lost that pace in the second half. I think we gotta get back to that a little bit more. But that also comes with if they're making shots, it's hard to keep that pace up.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. Most likely we'll have Embiid up soon. Might not get Tobias.
All right. So the big question after that Ben Simmons press conference, in my mind, was talking about the Sixers. People will one of the big negatives against the Sixers so far this year is that they can't win against the best teams in the NBA. I just had it. I just lost it. Hold on. The Sixers are now, after 27 games into the season, they're now 5-5 against teams 500 and above. You look at the next best team in the East, the Milwaukee Bucks are 4-6. The Brooklyn Nets are 8-1. The Celtics are 4-8. The Indiana Pacers are 3-7. Hornets 3-5. But still, a lot of people will say, well, the Sixers haven't beat anyone, yet they're number one in the Eastern Conference. Is this a ridiculous thing to be talking about, or is there merit to it, Jason?
I mean, they beat the Lakers. I think they're a stylistic team that the matchups, I think, looked better on paper for today's game than they played out, but they had a chance to win. There's so many variables in a season like this.
Yeah,
I don't overthink it. What's their record now? 18-9.
They're 18-9. The Phoenix Suns are 16-9.
18 of those wins are beating teams that have 18 losses because they faced the Sixers. So they're going to have faced more sub 500 teams. So they're not a perfect team. There's a book on how to beat them. Not every team has the weapons to beat them, regardless of strategy. But they have vulnerabilities.
Right.
You know?
They're not a perfect team. And I think that's like the big thing that people are going to be talking about until the next game. And then the game after that was like, do the Sixers need to bring in like a bigger, not a star, but someone that can really make or do damage offensively for this team moving forward? I think we're going to be hearing it a lot. And I think there's justifiable reasons why the Sixers bench has struggled without Shake Milton.
Mhm.
But is that unfair to put that on his shoulders? I don't know. They still need to add pieces. It's not a perfect team, but on my end, this is just a loss. This is just a loss.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not panicking. There's no reason to panic. I feel like the Sixers are going to add pieces to this team, and it's even still, it probably won't be a finished puzzle. But that doesn't mean you blow up your team to look for another guy that's going to completely cost you cap space down the road. Or you know what I mean? Like, I'm not reacting.
Yeah. Look, they should beat Utah. They match up well against that team. If they don't beat Utah, it's a different conversation. I think that's a game we should just look at closely, because I think the matchups are there. If they lose that game, there are only so many excuses you can make for them if they lose that game. And Utah is a very good team. But the way they're constructed, the Sixers should beat a team constructed in that manner. They're built to beat those kind of teams. So, what do we got? Utah is 21-5. We're gonna have a whole different conversation. They're 9-1 in their last 10. This is going to be a whole different tone if they beat Utah. But it's not going to mean that they don't have the same flaws that it looks like they have today. If they lose a third straight against Utah, I wouldn't brush it under the carpet. I wouldn't explain it away. I think now you got to look at yourself and say, teams are able to exploit your flaws. And
so you look at that game before the Portland Trailblazers game. The Sixers won their 7th road win in 25 games. Then they played Portland. They lost on the road. And then you played Phoenix and you lost on the road. When you look at last year, Jason, do you know what the Sixers record was over the next 20 games for the Sixers last year? Well, how many wins did they win in the next 20 games out of that?
I don't know. I'm afraid to hear the answer.
They were 3-17 after that. So now you look at the Sixers. Similar to last year, they were okay on the road, then they went on a stretch where they literally could not win at all on the road. The Sixers are now 0-2 after a similar stretch. So I'm just kind of making a joke of. I'm not saying that it's going to be. You're not looking at a 3-17 run from the Sixers on the road this year to finish out the season, but that's how bad it was in 2019.
Yeah, this team feels different, but I'm not around them as easily. Zoom is not. You don't get the same pulse. We're being 80 feet away in the arena. I see this Utah is damn good. Utah is damn good, but like what makes them good, I think, is stuff that plays to the Sixers' strengths. So if you look at how does a team beat the Sixers, and does Utah have the ingredients to do the things that give the Sixers problems, I'm not sure that they do. Now they could if Conley gets into the teeth of the defense, if he forces Embiid to pick his poison, and then he's able to kick out for Joe Ingles threes, it could go sideways. It could, but the things that are special about
Danny
Utah.
Green will be our next speaker. So any questions for Danny, just raise your hands. Thanks.
Who wants to guess how many people have Danny Green questions? I'm going to guess not many. It's going to be a short one. I thought Ben's joke, by the way, was great about Danny Green being out of bounds too much. I really doubt Howard Eskin is on here to ask him that question.
Howard.
I'm going to guess that joke will not go over well.
David Lopez says, I totally agree. I think it comes down to the Utah game simply because 2-2 on a West Coast trip is acceptable.
Here's Danny Green.
All right. Here's Danny Green.
I'm I had to start watching my own games, man. It's crazy. Gotcha.
You guys ready? Anything?
Yeah, you can hear me?
All right. Yep. Gotcha. First question is Lauren Rosen. Go ahead, Lauren.
Hey, Danny, you guys were really on a roll before these last two games, and I'm wondering as you prepare to face the best team in the West, I guess for the second time this season, what do you take most from these last two that were pretty close in terms of trying to get back in the win column?
We learn a lot more from losses, so I guess we have a little more motivation, a little more fuel. It's a lot, I wouldn't say easier, but it's better going into a building like that with a chip on your shoulder, a little more of an edge. So I think these wake-up calls were much needed. Just coasting through, thinking we're going to win the game because we're, the 76ers are the best team record in the East. It's not going to happen. We have to take in. We're going to get our best shot. We're going to get other teams' best shots, and we got to come out and play. For 48, we came out. We showed some glimpses. We showed some potential of where we could be. We just got to be more mature. We came out with a good start, I thought. Then we let teams back in, and then we let them get hot. And then next, we were playing from behind. So we got to find a way to keep that foot on the gas and that focus for full 48.
Let's go to Charlie Lapastora now.
Hey, Danny, how's it going? I know with it being Black History Month, we've had about over a month now to reflect on what happened in 2020. Just wondering your thoughts and the lessons you learned, especially when it came to social injustice issues that you hope to implement maybe on the court or off moving forward this year and years to come.
Say that again, some of the things that I want to implement, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, some of the lessons you learned in regards to social injustice issues that you can reflect on, in particular this time of the month.
There's so much, man, especially through this past year. I've had no choice. Not saying that my dad was a major history teacher, taught me a lot, but I think all of us had no choice but to step up to be, a vocal platform for our communities of, what kind of change we want. So I've learned a lot about history. I've learned a lot about how it repeats itself, and it's crazy and how, nothing's impossible. Seeing the times that we live in now, anything is possible, anything can happen. So yeah, we're talking about it, on a day-to-day and have uncomfortable conversations with people. As much as you want to avoid it, or I guess try to avoid it, it's necessary. You got to have those conversations. You got to enlighten and educate your friends and family, people around you, because a lot of them don't know, and you've known these people for so long, and you don't realize it until something like this happens. So I guess the biggest thing that I try to implement or take away from it is to continue to have the conversation, even though it's uncomfortable. Continue to educate each other, and continue to push to find ways to make our world, our place, our communities better.
We got 4 hands left, so Kai Carlin and then David Melander are the next two. Kai, go first.
Hey, Danny, sorry to kind of go back to something as trivial as basketball after, talking about something serious like that. But I want to get your thoughts about what happened today with Devin. I mean, Devin really kind of went off. What do you think went wrong with that end today?
Yeah, we let them get hot. Partially my fault. Let them get to the back of a couple easy ones. We had them, pretty under wraps. We had him in a good spot to start. He wasn't too comfortable. But once he got a couple of drop going, get to the free throw line, then he got a couple to get hot. They set some good screens for him. We didn't get into the bodies like we were supposed to. We weren't physical enough with those guys. And, we'll fix those coverages, but we allowed him to get to his left a lot, to have that left-hand layup, left-hand floater, and get to the free throw line, which allowed him to get a rhythm. And next, once he started getting a rhythm, he getting some shots, some tough ones deep, over Ben, which so we just got to be more physical. But when a guy like that is hot, it's hard to stop. That's why you don't let him get hot. You let him come.
Thank you, Danny.
David and then Austin. David first.
Hey, Danny. Earlier you mentioned that these last two games have been a wake-up call. Was there anything in particular in these two games that stood out that made you guys say, like, okay, what the hell's going
on? I just think our energy just has dropped, and not in any particular unit, first or second. But we started off pretty decent. We just don't do it for 48 minutes. As you can see, we also defensively, teams are shooting a higher percentage. We got to do a better job of keeping them at a lower percentage from three and from the field. And also getting offensive rebounds, getting to the free throw line. And you got guys coming off the bench that are giving them double figures. They had a couple guys, 2 in double figures and the other 2 close to double figures. You got to do a better job of also holding on to starters better, but also keeping teams under 120 points. We can't expect to win games allowing teams to score 120 points and shooting that higher percentage.
We're going to go to Austin and then the last one to Chris. Austin, you're first.
Hey, Danny. So you guys currently are 27th in the league in three-pointers attempted per game and three-pointers made per game. You think that's something that that volume has to go up a little bit, or something that, has to sort of change for you guys, considering, you only had 14 threes, I think, through 3 quarters tonight. So it's just kind of hard to keep pace with other teams doing that.
Yeah, I think the game today is about getting those perimeter shots. We don't have to drastically change that, but I do think a lot of it changes when we remove the ball. Our attempts behind the perimeter are the result of our ball movement or lack thereof. We don't get a lot of attempts behind threes because we're moving it too slow or second too slow or not moving it at all. So if we do what we've been doing early in the season, we had times where we're rolling and getting some attempts up. We'll get more attempts from the perimeter. But yeah, I do think that has to change a little bit. I wouldn't say drastically, but we do a good job of feeding and working off of Joel. Tonight, he had another great night for us, but we got to find ways to operate around him and also get it out and get faster swing movement to where we get some better looks from the perimeter.
All right, last one, Chris Krause. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny. How much does playing in day games versus night games kind of affect your routine? And just in general, like this year versus other years, specifically because in the morning you have to do more COVID stuff, it kind of adds more to your story.
To have to wake up earlier to do tests, but at this point, COVID is the only thing that changes. But I've been in the league long enough now, it ain't no different. And some guys hate the morning, some guys hate the late night games. I would prefer later night games, but it don't matter. You have to play regardless of the time of day. You got to be prepared. I'm used to it at this point. I know, how to prepare myself, how to get up, what time I need to go to sleep, what kind of rest I need to get up for breakfast and be ready to get my body going and report at a certain time. Obviously, 1:30 isn't ideal, but you got to come ready to play regardless of what time you play. You're 9 minutes, you got to be ready to go. Just like the other team, just like us, the other team is just in the same position, the same situation, and have to get up at the same time. So there's no excuse.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. Guys, it's going to be our full crop for this evening. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right, that is our press conference post-game show led by my man Jason. Thank you, Jason. Any takeaways from Danny Green's comments there, Jason?
Well, I think Austin had a really good question about shots attempted. I think it stems from a lot of different things, but creating those threes is, I think that was a really good question. I do want to shout out the Athletic Republic. Follow them on Twitter at AR Capital Region, CAPITOLREGION. Follow them. They are a minority-owned business, churning out pros, developing professionals every day, and they're based in the DMV, outside of DC. Good friends of ours, and they've churned out a lot of European professionals and NBA players like Haywood Highsmith. So shout out to AR Capital Region and DMV Academy.
All right, let's wrap it up, man. How would you grade today's performance, Jason?
D plus.
B plus or D plus?
D plus.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm like in that like C minus range. Tough game, afternoon game against the Suns. The only thing that really bothers me here is points in the paint. The Suns really beat the Sixers up with points in the paint. The Sixers weren't really able to out-rebound the Suns in this game either. You looked at their advantage there in the first half, especially at the free throw line. The signs were there defensively at the free throw line. It just kind of fell apart there in that second half.
Yep.
Not what you want to see, and it's one of those games that I'm literally just going to throw out the window and be like, forget it, because that's not the Sixers basketball we've watched over the last 26 games, 27 games, what have you. So anyway, any plugs you want to do, Jason?
No, just the one I just did. So AR Capital Region, follow them, support local businesses, support Black-owned businesses. If you've got money, and not everybody's got money right now, but make sure that money gets into the right hands, especially this year. It's really important.
All right. I just want to say thank you, everybody here, for watching. We're wrapping it up here. We will be doing a Blue Coats post-game show tomorrow, roughly around 5 o'clock. Our man Jason will be doing his D&D pod around the same time. Tons of content here at the Paint and Lines YouTube channel. Please, please, please be sure to like and subscribe and follow us now on Twitch. We are now on Twitch. Everything you see here is on Twitch. Please go create a free account and follow us. We're trying to expand there. You can follow us on Twitter at The Painted Lines. You can check us out at The Painted Lines or www.thepaintedlines.com. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere, guys. So thanks to everybody here for watching, for Jason, for myself. Stay awesome, guys. See you next game.